Today's video is how to calculate the volume of a prism. So let's go ahead and just discuss what a prism is. A prism is a polygon that has two bases. Any shape that has two bases, to calculate the volume, they all actually use the same formula. And that formula for volume is area of the base times height. Area of the base times height. We abbreviate this as volume equals capital B times H. So looking at this shape is a square prism because our base shape is located here. This is my base. It kind of looks like a loaf of bread, like a square loaf of bread. So when I'm focusing on my area of the base, I need to be thinking about what this base shape is. And if I basically ignore the rest of this picture, this is a square. My area formula for a square is length times width. So what we actually do is we change the capital B to the equation of the area formula for a square. So my area of the base changes depending on what the base shape is. Now, height is not how tall the shape is. Height is how far away base 1 is from base 2. So when I look at my picture, my height in this case is, I'm just going to kind of keep it as h for now. And then in the little picture, not a photo, this is not a photo of anything, the height is how far away these two squares are. So this length of 10 is actually our height. So when we substitute everything, we have a length and width. So we have 5 times 5 times a height of 10. So all I'm doing here, my height is how far away the two bases are, not how tall the shape is. And then I'm replacing length and width with my numbers. So 5 times 5 times 10. Let's see where my calculator is on the other side of the room, so be right back. Okay, I'm back. I had to go all the way around my desk to get to it. So let's go ahead and look back at our picture. So we've got length times width times height, 5 times 5 times 10. So when I type that into my calculator, I'm going to go ahead and just do 5 times 5 times 10, 250 cubic feet. So my volume is 250 feet to the third power. And this is read as 250 cubic feet. The best way to help you remember the units is it's 3D, so the units are 3. And while I was wandering around my room to get to my calculator, I pulled these shapes out. It kind of helps you see the figure. So notice how the blue part here is actually the base of this. So if I turn my shape this direction, it actually looks like, let's see if I can get it. It kind of looks like this picture. It's kind of hard to get exact, but it kind of looks like this. So this helps you see I've got length and width, and my height is here. Now, if it was sitting upright like this, upright, and the base was kind of at the bottom, my height would be vertical. If the shape is lying on its side and my base is kind of facing up, my height is here. So this just kind of helps you. Also, let me see if I can pull this out. This helps you see the base shape. So my base shape was a square, so we used length times width, and then we just multiply how tall the shape, not how tall the shape is, the distance between this square and this one, which is height. So let's try the next one. Oh my goodness, I have so much stuff on my desk. Okay, our next one. Now this problem kind of looks like a cone. It's technically not. It's technically a rectangular pyramid, which looks like this. I think I called this a cone. I did not mean that. This looks like a cube. A cube where all of the sides are square. A cube, not a cone. This looks like a cube just looking at the picture, but if you're noticing the measurements, it lets you know that this is in fact a rectangular prism, which means the base shape is a rectangle. Now notice how this doesn't come to a point, so that lets you know there's actually two bases. There's one here and there's one here. So my volume formula is actually going to stay the same. area of the base times height. So looking at my picture, I know that my base shape is sitting here, and I have another base on top. So my area formula, this is actually a rectangular prism. So the volume or the area formula for a rectangle is still just length times width. So what I'm going to end up doing here is substituting my length and width for my side. So I'm going to make 7 length and 2 width. And it's okay that 2 is up here because 2 is technically down here as well because these distances are identical. So I'm going to do 7 times 2 for my area of the base. And then my height in this case is vertical because the shape is actually sitting on its base. So my shape is actually sitting upright, and if I can kind of tilt it, it kind of looks like, let me move my pen, it kind of looks something like this. So I've got my height here. It's the distance of how far away this bottom base is from the top base. So my height is here. And also my base shape is a rectangle, so length times width. So let's go ahead and type all this into our calculator. I'm going to just use 7 times 2 times 14 to get 196. My units are inches, so that's going to be cubic inches. So my volume equals 196 inches to the 3rd power, or cubic inches. Now just remember, if it's got 2 bases and doesn't come to a point, if their base shapes are polygons, zoom out here, if the base shape is a polygon, meaning anything basically but a circle, looks like this. You can also have triangular prisms, and these are all polygons. And notice how they don't come to a point. They are all actually like stocky. They don't come to a point. They have 2 bases. Your area or your volume formula will always be area of the base times height. So if it has 2 bases and never comes to a point, the only thing that's going to change here is the area of the base formula, which is going to be length times width if it's a square or rectangle. If we were going to be using a triangle, it would be 1/2 BH, 1/2 base times height, times the height of the whole prism. So this kind of changes this area of the base formula. It just changes depending on what shape it is. But for right now, when we're just dealing with a basic prism, it's basically just length times width times height. You just multiply all of your measurements together.